XRP time, everyone. And before anything else, I need to show you this. From Vincent Van Code. Everyone talks about, oh, if I bought Bitcoin for $1, I'd be a billionaire today. What you fail to realize is 99% of people would sell, even at $100. Or what about when it dumped from $10,000 down to $1,000, then back up again? You really have to almost be mentally unstable to hold from $1 to $100,000. Same with XRP. Everyone talking smack about holding to $1,000, but 99% won't be able to help themselves and will sell sooner to buy a Lambo or a new house. It takes serious conviction or mental illness. He says to hold to $1,000, let alone $10,000. And you've seen the comments, right? Everyone's out here beating their chest like, diamond hands, baby. I'm riding XRP all the way to $10,000. And I get it, I really do. That energy is contagious. But then reality kicks in. You're sitting there one morning, coffee in hand, checking your portfolio, and holy crap, you're up 300%. Your heart starts racing, you refresh the page 3 times just to make sure it's real, and suddenly that little voice creeps in. Maybe I should just, take a tiny bit out? Listen, there is absolutely zero shame in locking in some gains. None. I'm not talking about rage quitting and dumping your whole stack, but come on, we have to be honest with ourselves here. When XRP starts really moving, most people are going to fold way before it touches 4 digits. Way before. Don't believe me? Just cruise through Twitter for like 5 minutes. You'll find 100 people saying stuff like, bro, if this thing just hits $10, I'm out. Selling every last coin and never looking back. But wait, here's the plot twist nobody talks about. You sell and then what? That money goes into your bank account as good old US dollars. And those dollars, they're basically melting like ice cream on a hot sidewalk. Have you been to a grocery store recently? It's genuinely terrifying. The news keeps saying inflation's under control. Prices are stabilizing, blah, blah, blah. Where? Show me. Gas dips by 20 cents and they act like they saved the economy. Meanwhile, I need a small loan just to buy eggs and butter. So here's my move, and maybe it'll make sense to you too. When I take profits, notice I said when, not if, I'm not converting to cash. I'm parking it in something like RLUSD. You know why? Because that stablecoin can actually earn me yield while I'm sitting on the sidelines. My money's doing something instead of just evaporating. This one's straight from Digital Perspectives. While we wait for XRP ETF approvals, Hidden Road, Rail Financial, G Treasury, Ripple Bank Charter. And hey, don't forget, we're also sitting tight for that Fed Master account. Yep, still on the list. Now Ripple, DAT, Digital Asset Treasury. You catching the drift here? Check out what Ripple's orchestrating at this very moment. Every single move they're making is stacking up genuine utility for XRP, layer after layer. Here's the thing, XRP's headed towards some absolutely insane price territory with all this momentum building quietly in the shadows. The second Ripple locks down that bank charter plus the Fed Master account, that's checkmate. Ripple literally becomes a banking institution. We turn into the actual bank branches. At the G30 40th Annual International Seminar, they're telling a room full of bankers that interlinkages between crypto and the traditional financial system continues to grow. Listen to this part.
A further example that I can mention in this context is the regulation of crypto assets and stablecoins. It has also been mentioned earlier this morning, where I believe also that we are fast approaching a tipping point. With the introduction of the crypto ETFs, the barriers for retail users have now dropped significantly, and interlinkages with the traditional financial system continue to grow. A number of incidents over the recent years have highlighted the vulnerabilities of the crypto asset ecosystem. And these vulnerabilities also require a consistent international regulatory approach based on the principle of same activity, same risk, same regulation. If we do not work together in this space, then what we risk is a race to the bottom dynamic, where crypto dealers and stablecoin issuers might be located in the least regulated regions, but spark problems elsewhere in the world.
What he's advocating for is unified crypto regulations across the globe, meaning the framework in one nation will closely resemble the framework in the next nation and then the one after that. Watch this trend carefully. He also pointed out it's drifting even further from everyday retail traders. That's precisely why I've been hammering home the point. You're incredibly early. You arrived before the institutional giants showed up. Whatever you do, resist the urge to dump your bags too early because the heavyweight money is literally about to pour into this sector. Bullish. Jack Dorsey says Bitcoin is not crypto. Bitcoin is money. Okay, I've got a little reality check for Jack Dorsey here. Bitcoin is absolutely crypto, and wait, let me guess the angle. Is this divine currency? Beamed down by intergalactic beings from some faraway world? See the pattern? They've got to keep pumping up the Bitcoin mythology. They're forever trying to position it as something transcendent, something one of a kind. But you know what the truth is? It's fundamentally outdated tech that's marching straight toward irrelevance. Jack Dorsey also dropped this comment. Listen to this.
So let's fast forward to the future, and Bitcoin has failed. How did it fail?
I think it fails through irrelevance. Like it fails to be relevant to people on a daily basis. If it just ends up being store value and nothing more, I don't think it gains relevance at all. I think it has to be payments for it to be relevant on the everyday. Otherwise, it's just something you kind of buy and forget and only use in emergency situations or when you want to get liquid again. So I think if it doesn't transition to payments and find that everyday use case, it just gets increasingly irrelevant. And that's failure to me.
He's making the point that if people aren't actually using it for their daily transactions, then honestly, what's it even good for? It just fades into irrelevance. And the only way you could actually use it for everyday stuff is if you'd be willing to bite the bullet as a hardcore Bitcoin maxi and process it through the XRP ledger. Yeah, that's right. Only Bitcoin can safely and securely transfer $200,000 on a Sunday for 4 cents. Now hold on a second. When you see claims like this is either 100% lie or this was done on the XRP ledger. I believe Saylor is a liar and a clown, right? Like Saylor's gotta keep selling everyone on Bitcoin because he threw everything into it. He's pot committed at this point. But listen, here's where it gets interesting. People like Michael Saylor, Jack Mallers, Jack Dorsey, they're gonna cash out and walk away. And who gets stuck? Retail, everyday people. That's the reality. When this whole story unravels, regular folks are the ones left standing there. But wait, there's a twist. You actually can move Bitcoin across the XRP ledger. So Max Avery comes in and says, XRP moves money across borders faster and cheaper than almost anything else out there. And the XRP ledger has done tons of institutional features baked in to allow for massive enterprise-grade implementations. That's why financial institutions will actually use it instead of just talking about it at conferences. So why does the price action feel so dead? I get this question a lot, and I'll tell you that XRP stability isn't a bug. XRP gets pulled into the gravity of traditional finance because banks and payment providers need stability to actually adopt it. XRP isn't designed to pump on retail speculation. It's built to slot into existing financial rails without breaking them. Look at what happened after the SEC resolved earlier this year. Ripple paid a fraction of what people expected, got regulatory clarity and more institutions, started testing XRP and building on the XRP ledger. Consider the work happening with tokenized securities on the XRP ledger. Trillions in bonds getting put on chain creates actual sustained demand. People forget that XRP hit an all-time high right after one of its nastiest crashes in 2017. It has this pattern of bleeding out during speculation frenzy and then catching up hard when nobody's watching. If you're holding XRP expecting it to move like a meme coin, you're going to hate the experience. But if you're betting on the financial infrastructure of tomorrow, the boring price action starts making more sense. Investing in real assets that have value sometimes means you need to have a longer time horizon. But it's my belief that taking that bet and having patience will pay off in a big way. Look, here's what you need to understand about XRP. This is not your typical pump and dump crypto situation. Sure, it's absolutely going to smash through some insane price levels. But listen, this happens over time. The moment it gets integrated into everyday use, though, retail investors are going to find themselves completely priced out before they even blink. And here's where it gets interesting. Right now, everyone's complaining like, ugh, being early to crypto is the worst. But hang on a second. Let me put this in perspective for you. You actually got ahead of the massive institutions on something like XRP for the very first time in financial history. Do you understand how significant that is? Because as XRP holders, we're literally in a front row seat watching institutional capital flood into this entire ecosystem. And us buying XRP at today's prices, that's going to pay off big time down the road. Why? Because the second that institutional capital arrives, you're going to see the price transform in ways most people can't even imagine right now. Smoke says, read closely. The Bank for International Settlement states that ISO 222 can be adopted as a standard messaging protocol for digital asset transactions, including stablecoins. ISO is a new messaging standard adopted by SWIFT to enable transactions involving digital currencies, e-money, stablecoins, and central bank digital currency. ISO is the bridge that fintechs need for true mass adoption of stablecoins. Stablecoins are basically the master key that's going to unlock everything for cryptocurrencies like XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, IoT, AALGO, Q, and T. And here's the crazy part. Once they actually plug crypto into these ISO messages, we're talking explosive price movement. Like blink and you'll miss it kind of fast. Look, you still have time. But that window is closing fast. ISO launches next month. This comes from Eleanor Tourette. New York City Mayor Oreo candidate Andrew Cuomo wants to make New York City a hub for crypto. The former governor turned Mayor Oreo candidate is set to announce plans to create a new chief innovation officer to make New York City the global hub of the future if elected. ... Okay, so notice a pattern here. Every candidate out there, every politician under the sun, they're suddenly crypto evangelists. Why the sudden love affair with crypto votes? Simple. They saw crypto holders completely shake up the November election. Now everyone's racing to hop on the bandwagon. They're betting that crypto support will catapult them straight to victory in their races. But listen, the smart move was embracing crypto way back when. Instead, what did the United States do? Launched a full-blown crypto crackdown. We should have been rolling out the red carpet for innovation, catapulting the US miles ahead of everyone else. Seriously, picture where we'd be standing right now if that crackdown never even took place. Forget the great wealth transfer. This cuts way deeper. You know, everyone keeps buzzing about the great wealth transfer, always pointing fingers at these bankers and these billionaires, but let me hit you with the truth. Most of this money isn't going anywhere near crypto. They even break it down further in this article, talking about a reset. Translation: prices have skyrocketed into the stratosphere and everything needs a total rebalancing. None of that unfolds without a brutal crash landing first. Look at real estate as your guide. Nobody should be remotely thinking about snagging a house and draining their crypto to make it happen. Not with these bonkers prices. You sit tight until that market collapses. Once the crash slams down, that's your moment to grab the bottom. I've hammered this home before. Handle everything the exact same way you handle crypto. Look, everyone loves to say buy the bottom, sell the top. Sounds simple enough, right? But let me tell you what's really going on with this massive wealth transfer everyone's obsessed with. I keep seeing crypto folks pumping up this narrative like, oh man, just wait till all that cash comes flooding into these coins. But they're totally missing what's actually going to happen here. The people who are about to receive this money, whether it's from inheritance or whatever, they're not sitting around planning their crypto portfolio. That's not their reality. They're going to take that money and immediately tackle the stuff that's been crushing them financially. We're talking paying down bills, wiping out debt, maybe finally getting current on their mortgage or catching up on rent. The basics, you know? Sure, I believe some portion of this money will eventually make its way into crypto, but listen carefully. It's nowhere near the insane numbers people are throwing around. Like when someone says $20 trillion is going to pour in over the next 3 years, that's just not how retail works. Now, institutional money, yeah, I can see that kind of volume coming from institutions over the next 3 years, but everyday retail investors, completely different ballgame. Here's the hard truth. Most retail is getting priced out by 2028. That window is closing fast. I'm telling you, this could go down way faster than anyone thinks. Just watch how things are unfolding right now. We've got a crash heading straight for us. Here's my prediction. Commercial real estate is going to be ground zero. From there, it's going to dominate residential markets too. And the banks? Expect more failures, but listen closely. This time, they've already warned us there's no bailout coming. Instead, they're preparing us for bail-ins. What's a bail-in? Simple. They lock the doors, the ATMs go dark, and suddenly your cash is trapped inside their vault. This is precisely why I kept hammering home that point forever ago. Banks aren't your ticket to wealth. You're miles ahead putting that money into crypto instead, because once this crash finishes playing out, we're about to witness the Phoenix XRP take flight. Until that moment arrives, keep your patience strong and your outlook positive. Okay, folks, that's where I'm closing things out today. I really appreciate every single one of you watching this. Catch you in the next upload. Have yourself a fantastic night.